Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Cali Hiker, and today I thought I'd do a review on two pieces of gear that are in the same category, but that are quite a little bit different. And these two pieces of gear are the Rite in the Rain notepad and the Field Notes notepad. Now, I use one or the other of these pretty much every day when I'm on the job because I like to take notes of things that I need to do, and these are so small that they're easy for me to carry, especially when you compare it to the fact that I use a much larger planner in everyday life. With these, I can just write down the notes on one of these pages and then transfer it to the planner later in the day to figure out what I need to do for that day. Anyway, without further ado, let's start looking into these two pieces of equipment. Okay, so let's start off by going over each one of these individually. So this is the Field Notes notebook, and they make these in a variety of cover colors as well as cover art. But as far as the basic information on this notebook, it is 3.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches in length. It's got 48 pages in it. It's considered durable, as you can see by the title, and it's made in the USA. The cover of this notebook is made out of a thin cardboard, and from what I've seen, pretty much even the other colored covers, as well as the ones that have artwork on them, are also made out of basically the same material. The only time this cover changes material appears to be if you buy the waterproof version of the Field Notes notebook. The cover also has 3 staple binding, which for this size notebook is actually very good. It's not 2, which would be a little bit weak because you really do need this middle staple that you can see right there. Now moving on into the actual inside cover of this notebook, as you can see, it's basically just got a little section for contact information such as your name. Then it asks you the coordinates of where you use this book. After all, it is known as a Field Notes notebook, so I mean, it wouldn't be too hard to believe if somebody exploring out in the desert or the jungle or in the ocean was using it to write in and needed to write down the coordinates of where they were when they took the notes. It's also got the date to until when the book was being used, as well as location. And then it's also got contact information such as your email address if it gets lost. And it does have a little section down here that you can't see that asks if there is a reward or not. Now, looking at the actual pages of the Field Notes notebook, you can see you can get them in 3 different types. I prefer lined, but you can also get dotted and blank. Like I mentioned before, there are 48 pages, and they pretty much are all just the same. There's nothing different about them. And then you get to the back cover. Now, the back cover, the biggest, most noticeable thing for me at least, is that it has this 5-inch ruler right here, which can come in handy. You never know when you just need to measure out a small little item. And if you have this Field Notes book, it's a reliable way to measure it. But as you can see right here, it has the section titled Our Story. And then below that, we have practical applications. There are 30 odd things that they say you can use it for. Some of them are kind of, laughable just because, it's kind of like they're kind of trying to play a joke on the people. For instance, last will and testament. But then there are others that are quite serious, such as grocery lists. But then you've also got crap predictions. Oh no, that's crop predictions. Never mind. Still, who would have thought people would be using it like that? But the people that put this together, obviously, quite open-minded to what this can be used to. Then we get below that. This is basically just a specification section. And all this talks about is how it's made, where it's made, and who made the components. So that's an interesting read. Definitely interesting to look at that. And then finally at the very bottom, you have what you can do about it. And that's just basically talking about if you have suggestions, that's how you contact the company. Now, on some of these Field Notes books that have, the decorated covers that are like artistic, this section is completely different. Usually it'll have a note about what inspired the front of the cover if it has like an artistic drawing. But if you just get one of the plain colored ones, it's not going to have that. Finally, on the back cover, you can see it's just the website, made in the USA, and that's about it. And now, of course, we have the Rite in the Rain mini outdoor journal notebook. Now, the width of this notebook is 3 1/4 inches, and the length is about 4 5/8 inches. It's got 24 numbered pages. You can see in the corner right there, it is numbered. That's page 14. And the pages can be lined or dotted. I don't believe they can be blank. I have not seen that on the website, so I have to believe that it's not something that they offer. Now, back to the cover of this notebook. There's no artistic, creations that they put on it. The only covers they really offer are colors. This is a classic green. They've also got orange, yellow, black, blue, other colors such as that. The price on Amazon ranges anywhere from $7.94 for a 3-pack of these, all the way up to $12.90, depending on the cover color. Now, interesting thing about this cover is that it is made not out of cardboard like the Field Notes notebook, but because this is obviously waterproof, it has to be made out of something that is not necessarily paper. And it's made out of a material they call Field Flex, which is best described, and this is me describing it, as a bendable plastic. It feels very plasticky, but apparently it can be recycled. Now, moving on to the binding, you can see there's just 2 staples, unlike the Field Notes. The Rite in the Rain obviously doesn't need 3 because it's noticeably smaller in length. Interestingly enough, these staples that the Rite in the Rain included are nickel plated, so that if it does get wet over time, they're not going to rust onto your pages and discolor them. Now, moving on to the inside of the Rite in the Rain notebook, you can see, similar to the Field Notes, it wants your name, address, phone, and what the project is that this is going to be used for. In my case, I just take notes in it. There's really never a project that the whole notebook takes up. Moving on to the next page, this is considered page 1. This is the contents page. And basically all it is if it's basically like a table of contents. If you use the whole notebook and you made it about one subject, you could have the page number and then the topic and then the date that you put it in. Now, just taking a quick look back at these pages, like I said before, I was only able to find at my local REI the dotted page version. Although, like I said, you could go online and buy the lined page version. Then we get to the back, and this is my favorite part of this book, is that it's really, the Rite in the Rain notebook is really designed for outdoors enthusiasts. You can see they have the Leave No Trace ethics. They have the 10 essentials you need when you're out hiking, or any outdoor activity really, and then they have the hazardous animal section. Moving on to the actual back cover, you see that it basically just talks about how the Rite in the Rain technology works. For instance, you can use it wet or dry, but you have to use this type of writing implement, such as all pencils, Rite in the Rain pens, wax markers, crayons, oil pastels, and paint can be used wet or dry on this paper. When it's dry only, you can only use permanent markers or standard ballpoints, plus everything in this first list. The things that will not work on this, generally speaking, are gel pens, most highlighters, fountain pens, watercolors, and acrylic paint. And then this section right here is just, it's basically an ad for their other material, for the other products that they sell. This can get very expensive if you want a really fancy one, a really fancy Rite in the Rain notebook. It can get quite expensive, especially if you pair them with the writing instruments. I'm sure if you've gone to, like outdoor sportsmen's, you've seen the section where they have all this, and it can get kind of expensive. But then finally on the bottom section, you've got the industries that use their products. You've got how to contact them on social media and a couple of little informations about how the product is made and that it's recyclable and eco-friendly. And it's made in the USA. Finally on the back, you've got just the motto, Define Mother Nature, recyclable, and a bunch of other company information. But interestingly enough, they've also got inches and centimeters for rulers on the back. These ones only go up to 4 inches and 10 centimeters though, so they're a little bit smaller than the Field Notes, but still, I like that they've included both of them. Well everyone, we've gotten to the part of the review where obviously you want to know which one I prefer and why. Honestly, there's only 2 reasons why I prefer one over the other, and they're basically the most obvious reasons. First of all, as we know, Field Notes is larger than the Rite in the Rain mini notebook. And that's a big thing for me. I prefer the Rite in the Rain notebook over the Field Notes notebook because I want a smaller size. Remember, this has to stay in my pocket while I'm on a job site, and I don't want anything bigger than it needs to be. It's also, as you know, aside from like the physical size, it's only 24 pages, whereas this is 48 pages. So in that category, Rite in the Rain, excuse me, wins. The next category, and this is a much more in-depth category, is the durability of each of these. Now, I'm going to tell you about experience I had with each one of these. The Field Notes one I used for a couple weeks when I first got it, and after a week or so, the binding started to split, like it started to tear. And eventually, I didn't have any binding left, and I just had the inner pages. That's when I started realizing, okay, I need something that's more solid than this. So I ended up going to REI, and I found this little gem. And I started messing with the cover material, realized it wasn't cardboard, which I loved. It's some type of plastic material. So I'm like, okay, maybe this won't rip as easy as the Field Notes. And sure enough, it hasn't. This is the one that I've been using for like the last month. As you can see, it's pretty beaten up. I've only got like 5 pages left in it, and it hasn't begun to rip on the edges. It's amazing. I love it. You can see, though, I have ripped out quite a few of the pages. So even then, the binding has held up. The staples are still in great shape. I accidentally put this in the wash machine along with a red ink pen, which didn't fare so well. And it came out pretty much as you see it now. Now, granted, it was wet. It was pretty soaked, but I just let the pages dry, and within about an hour, hour and a half, everything was fine. I went back to using it. You can see there's really no damage. There's no discoloration on the pages or anything. All this discoloration is just from other uses that I've used it with. But as far as the wash machine, didn't do anything to it. And to me, that was great. So basically, what I'm saying is the small size and the durability, to me, far outweighs the Field Notes notebook for my personal situation and my uses. Now, if I got the waterproof version, which is the same size, same dimensions, everything, other than the fact that the paper is different and it uses, I believe, some type of plastic cover instead of a cardboard, I might like this one too. But as it stands, I like this one. And even if I did get this one as the waterproof version, this one's still smaller, which is one of the key factors for why I like it. So with all that in mind, I have to say that for me, like I mentioned before, it's Rite in the Rain that wins. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give me your thoughts, comments, and maybe you don't agree with what I'm saying. Leave all that in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Everyone have a great day. See you guys on the next video.